Well, 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 is this another Ethan Klein hit piece that I see? Bro, we're still doing Ethan Klein hit pieces in the year 2026? Is that really what we're doing? Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I thought 2025 was the year of just, like, shitty Ethan Klein hit pieces that are incredibly disingenuous, but, seems like we've got another one. We've got, more Ethan Klein shit. I mean, I've been kind of avoiding Ethan Klein drama for the most part, just because, like, Ethan Klein, I don't know, man, we had so much of it in 2025. It was, like, that's literally what a majority of the drama was in 2025, was just nothing but Ethan Klein hit pieces. Obviously, some of it was necessary to talk about, like how Ethan, unjustifiably got CPS and 2 human skulls sent to his house. But, like, overall, it kind of feels, like, repetitive. All the drama. But there's nothing to talk about, so we can watch it.
And Iran is the bad guy. They're evil. They are the evil. They are the reason for all this bullshit.
Today, the
Whoa, Iran is evil.
U.S. and Israel launched an unprecedented joint attack on Iran with the stated intention to overthrow the Iranian regime.
So, my thing about the whole, like, Iran thing that's happening is, yeah, I mean, what's happening in Iran's fucking terrible. Some could even argue that the regime going on was, like, an actual genocide because, tons of people were getting killed in Iran from the regime. And, like, it does seem like a lot of people that are civilians of Iran are happy about the government getting overthrown, right? So, like, there are obviously people celebrating it and happy about it. However, we have to acknowledge that Donald Trump is not doing this for the right reasons. You know, like, Donald Trump has been desperate to stir up controversy to distract from the fact that he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years. So I think that's important to keep note of. And the fact that, like, nobody else is willing to take that into account. We know that the bombings in Venezuela, Trump only did it for oil and Epstein. Like, we know Trump doesn't care about drugs. He pardoned people with drugs. So with Iran, like, obviously Trump doesn't particularly care about authoritarian regimes. He's ruling one right now, as you can see, with ICE murdering 2 people. Yeah. I like I said, like that's really it. Like, this whole thing is being done as a distraction from Epstein.
Objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
I'm personally in favor of intervention for the people in Iran, and I think it's overwhelming. The Persians that I've seen seem to overwhelmingly support intervention against the Ayatollah's regime.
There are a lot of cuts in this clip. Maybe they're just awkward pauses, because I guess Ethan may be stuttering a lot.
American president to rebuild Gaza into a sprawling seaside metropolis.
Whoa, that really does look like a city from the Middle East. Like, it looks like a UAE city.
See, I'm a real estate person at heart, and it's all about location. And I said, look at this location on the sea. Look at this beautiful piece of property, what it could be for so many people.
Someday, when this regime is toppled, Iranians being a popular tourist place for Americans or even Israelis.
Ethan Klein is a right-wing podcaster. Whoa, I'm pretty sure he's left-wing, though. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Ethan Klein, the sickly host of the crumbling H3 podcast.
Whoa, and that's Guam there as well? Oh, yeah, I remember. She's like one of the people on H3 After Dark now. And same with Harley Morenstein as well from Epic Mealtime. Good stuff.
Podcast.
God bless both of them. They're getting out in the world.
Has long associated himself with some sort of moralistic left, where all people victim to some sort of authoritarian government must be rescued via American intervention. Unless, of course, that country is Israel.
One-state solution. I find it incredible that people think that Hamas is going to take over all of Israel and happily coexist with Israelis. Because if you have a one-state solution and the right to return, all that's going to happen is, like, everybody is trying to bring as many people there as possible. And, like, by the time, there frankly are a lot of Palestinians, right, in the area. And once the Palestinians outnumber the Jews, anything is fair game for the Jews. Anything.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I pretty much agree with that. I mean, I think that a one-state solution would be fucking terrible for both Israel and Palestine. right now, people who are Israeli and the Palestinians, I just don't think that either of them can coexist normally and be okay. Like, it just feels like that is, like, almost impossible. So, I mean, yeah, like, there needs to be, like, a two-stage solution with, frankly, Israel paying some level of reparations to Palestine for all the horrific torment that they have objectively inflicted upon them. But yeah, like, I don't think that Israel shouldn't exist. I don't think that we should suddenly dissolve Israel entirely. I think that would be overall worse. And again, the civilians of both Israel and Palestine they cannot coexist with each other, especially because the temperature is just, like, it's astronomically high between them. There needs to be a lot that happens before even something like that can even be conceived. But people think a one-state solution is good as a one-size-fits-all solution, and I feel like people that offer a one-state solution as a solution are not thinking of the bigger ramifications for it.
Is falling out with Hassan Piker, Ethan has done everything he can to distance himself from the socialist Hassanabi left. But as the Trump...
I don't know if that's really what happened, though, because, like, you know, what happened was Ethan Klein and Hassan, they hosted the Leftovers podcast together, and then October 7th happened, and, like, Ethan Klein obviously had opinions about it, and Hassan actively, like, his chat was being very anti-Semitic to Ethan, and they were calling him, like, a rabid Zionist genocide baby killer, basically. And Hassan, like, it didn't even attempt to set proper boundaries with his chat, being like, hey, guys, don't do that, or whatever. He didn't even attempt to do that. And, like, he just, like, actively refused. And so that was, like, them having a falling out. I don't know if that was entirely Ethan trying to distance himself from Hassan, though.
Regime continues with its interventionist efforts against anti-imperialist nations. Ethan, in having the opposite opinion of Hassan Piker at all times, has only associated himself more and more with the right, a phenomenon...
I don't really see Ethan as right-wing. If anything, like, looking at Alex the Fiction's community and anyone adjacent to H3, you're like, everybody is pretty, like progressive, if anything. I guess maybe this guy sees him as right-wing because he's not far left enough.
A lot of his fans had to come to terms with in the case of war with Iran, a war he's been cheering on and hoping for some time now.
It's the classic, like, Donald Trump, my people yearn for freedom, please glass Iran take that you hear from, you know, people living on American soil. Like, the only way to save Iran is by glassing it.
Today,
I mean, if you want to say that, like, Donald Trump is not attacking Iran for the right reasons, that's completely fair. Like, I would agree with you. He's obviously not doing it because he cares about the regime that's happening in Iran, or he doesn't care about the U.S. relations with other countries or helping out other countries or whatever. Like, obviously Trump doesn't give a shit about this. It's because he's best friends with Epstein, or was best friends with Epstein. Trump, release the client list if you want to disprove the allegations. To say that, like, you know, to act like Iran is being, like, totally fucking, like, everything's all good and great there, it's just not true. Like, Iran, like, obviously there are civilians there, but they were getting massively genocided by fucking the regime going on in Iran, so...
This broadcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Consider joining our Patreon to support independent media. Thank you. In all honesty, I don't think Ethan Klein's political compass is intrinsically linked to the opposite opinion of Hassan Piker's, although it does seem like it. The more obvious explanation, one that disproves the false correlation between the two former co-hosts, is that Ethan, without fail, believes the American state narrative. Like every time. And if you've watched him as long as I have, you know he's been falling for this for a long time. In 2019, he said we should support Hong Kong financially, a former colonial appendage still trying to
When did Ethan Klein say that? Did he actually say that?
hold on to its monarchical culture.
I find myself concerned about China. I find myself concerned about their way that they treat their citizenry, with the social rating system, with the facial recognition. The Chinese citizens now have social scores. You can lose points by participating in activism or
Wouldn't all these things that Ethan Klein is saying, wouldn't that imply that he is, like, against what China's doing? Like, he's a little bit weary about it? Like, I don't understand what this clip is supposed to prove. I feel like it's, if anything, this clip proves the opposite of what you're trying to claim.
protests. And what can happen when you get a low social score? You can not leave the country. You cannot use public transportation, stuff like this. And so the way that they are finding to control their citizenry is some very frightening things for the future of civilization. I also wonder about if the United States should be more active in supporting Hong Kong protesters. That seems to me a great opportunity for America to prop up an ally and a democratic society over there.
Yeah, so this is Ethan Klein basically just saying, like, China's obviously had a very, I would say they've had a fairly tumultuous history with their government. And I would say their government is far from perfect. But, like, if there is, like, this is basically Ethan Klein advocating for some level of reform. Like, I don't really see how this shows that he supports, like, Hong Kong. Like, again, I feel like the way you communicated that, you made it sound like Ethan was trying to, like, support the government or whatever. I don't know. Just the way I don't like the implication of that.
In that part of in China.
He's been a long-time believer of the Uyghur genocide, a Western myth designed to justify some sort of independence movement in Western China.
And then this happened.
You know, all the concentration camps have been closed now. Like, all the re-education camps are closed now in Xinjiang, and it's, like, very different.
Let's see what the Associated Press actually had to say about this. These are all AP articles from the last 2 years. UK independent body reports China committed genocide in Xinjiang.
So when Hassan says education camps, fuck off. Like, we understand that education camps are genocide camps, right? Like, these are camps that, like, people are killed in. Like, that's, like, I think we can all agree that putting people in camps to kill them, or at the very least make them go through an immense amount of suffering, probably not good. Like, I don't think that's a hot take.
And has sanctioned a U.S. research firm and 2 individuals over a report about the human rights violations in Xinjiang.
It's the tourism hour.
To China's fury, UN accuses Beijing of Uyghur rights abuses.
Tourism hour.
Uyghur County in China has the highest prison rate in the world. 1 in 25 people is in a Chinese prison.
It's the tourism hour.
48 Uyghurs detained in Thailand for almost 11 years are on hunger strike to protest their imminent deportation to China, where they face imprisonment or execution.
Not only does this AP article seem not to exist, reading the AP proved exactly the opposite. Hassan has happily eaten up the Chinese propaganda on this and has regurgitated it to his mainstream audience.
Yeah, and I mean, all it really boils down to is Hassan just hates the West. Anything that remotely represents Western values, Hassan will go, yeah, no, can't do that. Go East, baby. Maybe Hassan would get along with Legal Mindset very well.
Why is he defending China's genocide of their Muslim population? How does this even make sense?
And of course, he believes that Israel has the right to defend itself from Islamic terrorists propped up by the Islamic Republic of Iran who want to end the lives of the entire Jewish population.
Well, they do, right? Like, I feel like... Dude, I don't like this point. I think this point just completely ignores the context of the existence of Israel throughout history. I mean, like, again, like, I've said it on the channel before, but basically, Jews were given land after World War II by Britain, and that's obviously, that displaced a lot of Palestinians. That we should have some, maybe, reparation for that, probably. But, I mean, like, we are where we are now. Like, decades have passed. Israel has existed for a while. Like, we kind of just have to figure out how to move forward from here, like, instead of constantly, like, going, like, again, what is the solution? It's certainly not a one-state solution, because, like, again, Palestinians and Israelis can't coexist at the same time right now. It's way too, like, again, the temperature's too high. So, like, realistically, what do people like this think should happen to Israel? I mean, like, again, the insinuation is that, like, all Ethan's take is that he thinks that Israel has a right to exist, but it doesn't have a right to be committing a genocide, and that Netanyahu is fucking awful. Again, that's a very normal take. Like, this guy's trying to make it seem like Ethan Klein is in support of some genocide. I mean, like, October 7th was a terrorist attack, and I would say from that, Israel had a right to defend itself, but of course that, like, again, that is being used to justify the endless genocide that Israel is committing onto Palestine, which I don't think it's, I think it is, like, a genocide at this point, pretty much what Israel's doing, and they constantly use October 7th and other things as a justification to kill innocent Palestinians.
Laughable narrative of them all.
One of the biggest issues between me, Hassan, and his community was that I am in favor of a two-state solution while they are in favor of a one-state solution. Their theory is that after the October 7th attack, Israel should just dissolve its borders and let Hamas enter Israel unrestrained. The problem is,
yeah, and I mean, Hamas are not good people. I mean, like, obviously the Israeli government are not good either. Netanyahu's a war criminal and he's disgusting, absolutely. But, like, Hamas are also not good. You don't suddenly just solve one evil by letting another evil take over. Does that make sense?
that Israel's been at war with its neighbors for 70 plus years, and it makes a lot of sense that there be some distrust there. Is it really insane to think that Jews, as an ethnic minority in Israel, would not be safe?
I mean, yeah, like people, again, like people pretend that Jews haven't been fucking oppressed for years and that people have hated Jewish people. Like anti-Semitism has existed for decades. Like it's like people around the Middle East have hated Jews for a long time, and like tons of people have hated Jews for like years. So like obviously people are using this as like a dog whistle to say that Jewish people are disgusting.
After all, Israel is a country of refugees. If the Jews didn't come from Europe after the Holocaust, they came from the surrounding Arab countries that expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba.
Despite being considered a progressive by American standards,
I don't really, like, again, he just doesn't really elaborate on any of the clips. Like, I feel like I kind of forgot how really silly these Ethan Klein hit pieces were, because it's like, he doesn't actually, like, explain how the clips make him look bad. He just, like, shows the clips, and that he hopes that what I assume to be his, like, really, really far left audience, he just assumes that they're going to, like, be like, oh my god, that's bad, and, like, you're supposed to think it's bad, and I don't have to explain myself. That's kind of, like, the undertone that I get from this. I accidentally unpaused for a moment there.
Ethan Klein not only falls for the pro-imperialist liberal state narrative, but he plays...
Oh, yeah, so he is far left, got it. Yeah, he, like, basically, he's using liberal in these spaces as, like, a slur, basically, so he's, like... he's basically calling out Ethan for not being far left enough. I mean, like, I don't know, man. Can you criticize Ethan for some things? Yes. But, like... Where, like, do you have a video on Asmongold? Like, where's your video on Asmongold, who basically justifies the death of Renee Good and then justifies tons of he's justified Palestinians getting killed in the past. He justifies what Trump is doing. Like, Asmongold is so brainless that any take he has is just a pro-Trump take, basically. Like, we understand, like, where's your fucking video on Asmongold? Like, it's so weird. Like, these motherfuckers, like, they constantly talk about, like, people that aren't far left enough, but they never criticize, like, actual far-right figures or people that align themselves with the far-right, like Asmongold.
Plays a key role in the distribution of this propaganda as the bumbling idiot who will believe anything he's told.
Don't they have Uyghur camps? Is that?
It's not a camp. They were re-education camps, and they are no longer in operation.
Is that
according?
Dude, again, fuck off. Like, re-education camps are death camps. Like, that's what they are. This is like Hassan's way of downplaying it completely.
The Associated Press.
I saw this crazy doc.
This is how you know that Hassan doesn't care about Palestinians dying. He, like, again, like, he doesn't care about Uyghur Muslims in China getting fucking killed or being put into death camps. And then, like, also, he basically downplayed Russia invading Ukraine by calling the Crimea invasion Crimea River.
Documentary, and I don't know. I don't know. There was doctors in the area. They would be able to procure organs.
No, no.
I'm telling you, they were in China with.
Oh, that one is like Shen Yun.
They're like,
Falun
we can
Gong.
get you an organ. From a Uyghur.
Now, Ethan has been talking about Iran for a long time, but it's only recently that he started to blame them for every problem under the sun, the most common Zionist propaganda in Israeli state media.
The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons.
Over the summer, during the last Israel and Iran back and forth, Ethan basically totally backed Israel and their state narrative by outcrying the state of Iran as the source of all evil in the Middle East.
Well, they are, right? Like, I feel like Iran's regime has been very, like, potent for a while now, and like the regime, they have killed tons of innocent civilians. Like, Iran is not exactly the safest place or a cozy sunshine and rainbows place that you should visit. Like, if you go on like a US travel map, like, Iran is ranked as like level 4 or level 5 as to the level of unsafe it is to travel there, which is one of the higher levels. I mean, they're not going to stop you if you want to travel to Iran, but like, it's still definitely wouldn't want to go there. That's all I'm going to say.
Iran is the bad guy. They're evil. They are the evil. They are the reason for all this bullshit. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, who they're all attacking under the direction of Iran.
And this is the...
I mean, again, I don't think Ethan Klein is really wrong there. Like Iran has, again, they're not good. Not the I'm not talking about the civilians, by the way. I'm talking about the regime in Iran.
Episode where Ethan first plants the seed that somehow no one hates Iran like Iranians hate Iran.
You know who hates Iran, the Iranian government the most? Iranians.
The people.
I mean,
there's tons of people who hate the regime. Me and my brother know somebody in the real world who is Iranian, and he's also not a big fan of the regime going on either. It's depressing. And like, he doesn't even like talking about it that much. It's fucking depressing to talk about it constantly, like all the bad shit that's happening there. And also, like, again, all these clips you're showing of Ethan, like, you realize you're just making him look good, right? Like, I feel like again, he never actually, like, he shows clips, but then he never actually, like, can we get some more context? Can you explain, like, how it's bad? Or are you just going to show these clips and expect your far left audience, or your audience that's most likely aligned with Hassan, to just believe you blindly?
This is just textbook liberal propaganda, disguising an...
God, the liberal propaganda. He's using liberal as a slur, dude.
Invasion as some sort of rescue mission. And just a couple months ago, well before war with Iran was a reality, Ethan Klein basically dedicated an entire episode of his show convincing his audience that the US should go to war with Iran.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, lovers, enemies, snarkers, welcome all. We're back, baby. We've been gone for a month. And our longest break ever, but we're all feeling energized, rejuvenated, ready to go. It's 2026. We're ready. We're back. Really? We're so back.
They spent most of the episode talking about how supposedly awful it is to live in Iran.
Or ever feeling joy, they would arrest you in Tehran, Iran.
But literally...
Oh my god, is that... Oh yeah, I forgot. I do remember that, Anissa lately, like, because she's been kind of losing out on viewership, she's been, like, making fun of Ila's accent, which I think making fun of somebody's accent, a little bit cringe. I would never do such a thing, guys. I've never once in my life made fun of somebody's accent because I got so triggered. That has never happened, totally. No, but obviously, like, yeah, it's cringe. Shouldn't do it. Am I gonna shit my pants at it too hard? No. I don't think it's, like, that big of a deal. But, it's just, like, one of those things where it's, like, her impression of Ela is so stupid. It's, like, okay. I don't know, man. It's, like, I don't know. Weirdly, it is somewhat funny, but it's funny because it's kind of bad.
Really? Yeah, it's a little over the top.
Yeah.
It's literally there. He lives there.
It
What do you
is
mean it's over
literally
there?
what happens
He just
there.
got here like 2 days ago. He flew from Iran, where he lived his whole life, and is in America. And they're like, bro, stop.
Are they talking about the guy in the video right here?
Lying about your lived experience. What? Western chauvinism, peak. White colonists, bro. These white settlers.
Like, what he's saying is so silly to them that they are saying it as irony, but that is actually the reality there.
But the irony is that it's actually so bad there that they don't believe it. And what it should do is expose their blind spot for how bad it is there, instead of indulging in their own, like, chauvinistic Western fantasy about them thinking the whole world's a utopia because they live in like a peaceful Western country.
They talk about Iranians' lack of incredibly important freedoms like dancing in public and walking your dog. Two things I've never done.
So he says you can't walk dogs in public in Iran.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And again, a simple Google search proves that, again, that is true. You cannot walk dogs in public in Iran. It's very illegal, and actually, I even read some accounts of people being like severely punished for bringing
Well,
the
in
dog
America,
out.
you can shock them on stream.
Iran
Okay, that's wow.
bans dog
The snarking after Hassan, the obligatory snarking.
walking ban, June 2025. So there was a dog walking ban in place, and they've made it even more strict. This is BBC.com. Is that okay for you guys? So easy. And this is from the New York Times. I don't know if this one's credible for you. Dog walking is a clear crime. Iran's latest morality push. So easy.
They can arrest you. Did you know that?
For dancing?
Like this, like
It's a little eye-rolly. It feels like he's paid to do propaganda for
the US.
Yeah.
It is illegal to dance publicly in Iran. People are arrested for it. And I mean, that's just that.
Yeah, it's a different culture, unfortunately. I mean, you're arrested for all kinds of things. I mean, if you look at like the UAE and Saudi Arabia and all these countries in the Middle East, they actually have some of the lowest crime rate in the world, but I mean, debatably not for the right reasons. And I say debatably mainly because the punishments for these crimes are so unbelievably severe that nobody wants to take the chance. So, like, if you fucking steal something, or I guess provably steal something, you could spend, like, a year or two in prison, which is a long time. Like, a year or two for stealing something, probably a little bit extreme. I don't think you need to go to jail for that long.
Known, right? These fools, these Western white chauvinists, they take their freedoms, their qualities of life so for granted that they're not even interested in liberating people in Iran. They try so hard not to be racist, they end up being total textbook white chauvinist racists.
But the best part about all of this is Ethan Klein admitting to only trusting mainstream media and not the quote, propaganda websites.
It doesn't take so much to like figure that that's the situation.
I mean, all these headlines that we found with just, and these are like, again, you could just the most basic cursory Google search, and you find these on super reputable sites. You don't have to go weird propaganda sites, you know?
They go on to interview some random Iranian guy, apparently some contestant of the show 90 Day Fiancé. You know, a show about foreigners who hate their country doing whatever they can to move to America. Yeah, that sounds...
Yeah, I mean, that's like a ton of people from Iran don't like the regime that's happening there. A lot of them have actually been celebrating that their regime is getting overthrown. Unfortunately, Trump doesn't seem to care about the civilian casualties that are happening as per their attacks, so that's great, but... again, also Trump is not doing it for any of the right reasons. Again, like I feel like we're like a quarter of the way through this hit piece. He hasn't really shown anything that like would lead me to believe that like Ethan Klein is like for innocent people dying. Because it feels like that's the undertone of this video, is that Ethan Klein is in support of innocent people dying. And like, I don't know, I feel like this whole video, it kind of just like comes across like you're trying to virtue signal. Like if you really want to go after people who are celebrating innocent people dying, again, where's your video on Asmongold? And this could be, honestly, I'm talking to you too, Ethan. Like this is a criticism at Ethan Klein too. Where is your video on Asmongold? Asmongold like constantly fucking justifies the death of innocent people. Like he constantly makes calls to violence. Like he thinks that the boat bombings for Venezuela should be happening. Like again, like also Asmongold celebrating the death of Renee Good by saying gotcha bitch. Like again, like Asmongold is like actually a very violent individual. Like he has violent fantasies all the fucking time and he expresses them on stream. He's made so many calls to violence. Like, where is your... Wait, why are so many people scared to go after Asmongold? Are you just scared because of the fucking audience that he has? Like, the weird audience he has? Who gives a shit? They're not good people. Asmongold's audience is full of fucking weird, terminally online freaks that are Twitter-brained. Who cares? Who gives a shit about what Asmongold's audience thinks? They're not relevant.
Like an incredible source for unbiased information.
The reason that I'm here is mostly because there's so much, like, propaganda about, like, what's happening inside Iran right now. The last number that I've heard is 16,000 people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's more than that. Like it's way more than that based on the clips that I have seen. They call it a Persian Holocaust or something. Like they're literally people just because they are against the regime. So based on the multiple...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, it is a, like, actual dictator regime. It's bad. Like, it's, like, what's going on in Iran is not good. And, like, again, this entire video just showcases that Ethan Klein is against the regime. There's nothing that suggests that Ethan is for killing the deaths of innocent people. Again, like, I don't really know, like, how this video is supposed to get me to think. Like, none of the evidence that I've seen really gets me to believe that Ethan Klein is a bad guy. If anything, you've shown evidence to quite the opposite.
Cities that I have Tehran, Isfahan, Mashhad, all these are going to be 16,000 at least. So we do not have any news from other cities, and that's the exact reason they have shut down the internet, because they want this to just like die down.
They are talking about potentially not bringing back the internet.
Keeping the internet down is the only thing saving them right now. If we had like unrestricted access to see what was going on there, people would be outraged. And the only reason America isn't intervening to help the protesters is because people haven't been confronted with how horrific it actually is. If they were able to...
I think that's part of it, but I also think that, like, Donald Trump, again, is only really interfering because he's just distracting. But otherwise, Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about people dying in Iran. Like, absolutely not. Trump doesn't care about that.
See that, I think opinions would change a lot.
As you can see, much of the arguments being expressed in this conversation are sympathetic in nature. They simply see this as a protective measure, as a rescue mission for a helpless population. People...
Well, yeah, isn't that what it is, though?
People are under attack from their government and they need our help. It was the same as Hong Kong and the discussions around that.
Well, yeah, but with Hong Kong, like, Ethan Klein says that, like, we should be skeptical of China's government. And again, Trump is very much, like, fine with the UAE and China getting microchips, which is against basically a lot of our trade regulations because of the technology pushes that they could get. So I don't really, this whole thing is just like I feel like this whole video is just like casting doubt on Ethan for like literally nothing. Like, that's really what I get from this hit piece. Like, I don't see, like, this video is kind of just like, I'm not seeing the issue here. Like, you're just showing clips and like you're not even providing any meaningful context as to why they're bad. Can you explain why you think it's bad?
Also wonder about if the United States should be more active in supporting Hong Kong protesters. That seems to me a great opportunity for America to prop up an ally and a democratic society over there in that part of in China.
And this is why Ethan Klein, or really any liberal voice, is such a dangerous one when it comes to politics.
Wow. Okay, so we're literally just casting doubt for no reason. Got it.
I really feel bad when some people say, oh, it's because of the U.S. sanctions. If they lift the sanctions, everything is going to be fine. No, it's not all about economics. Like, if tomorrow the sanctions are going to be lifted, people still want a regime change.
He might come into the discussion with a good heart, just wanting to protect people, but he only wants to protect them because the government told him so. He only thinks...
Oh, is this... Oh, okay, I got it. So I think I know the point that he's about to make. Is he about to say that, like... Here's, like, back when I was in my Twitch platform in, like, far left spaces, like, a lot of the pro-Palestine movement, or I guess some of them maybe use that as a disguise to spew pro-Hamas propaganda, which is totally possible. But I think there's a lot of people that mean well when they say Free Palestine, of course. I'd like to think so. A lot of them are told not to trust the media because the media lies about Israel-Palestine, and like you're told not to trust the government on what they say about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And there might be a level of truth to that, but like there is a UN report that says that like Hamas has committed rapes. And the problem with saying don't trust the government, don't trust this, don't trust that, is because Hamas propaganda can really slip through the cracks very easily. And that's exactly what happened. Is there was a ton of Hamas propaganda that was being pushed and slipped through the cracks, a lot of which are not particularly a fan of Jewish people, and they also hide behind civilian infrastructure in regards to the bombings that Israel inflicts onto Palestine. So, yeah, I think that this content creator, who is seemingly very adjacent to Hassan, just is exhibiting that level of, like, casting doubt on the government, basically, is like saying, yeah, you can't trust the government's not doing well or whatever. Like, that's literally what a lot of far left spaces do. And it really, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a cult, because, it's just like, don't trust the government, they lie, but then also Hamas also spews disinformation about some of their propaganda.
Thinks the Ayatollah is an evil person because the Zionist entity told him so. Speaking of Zionism, Zionism is actually a very liberal ideology. It's all about the saving and protection of a very special, specific minority group. And
I just think, I feel like this is a very black and white view of it. Like, yes, Zionism is a very extremist ideology, and the reason why Zionism came to be was because there was so much fucking hatred for Jewish people, especially during the Holocaust. Like, everybody knows that, like, 6 million Jews were slaughtered by Hitler, and now, like, even, like, recently with the October 7th stuff and the Israel-Palestine conflict, anti-Semitism has been on the rise for a while. So, like, yes, obviously Zionism is an extremist ideology, but it's like everything is just like, this guy wants you to have like a black and white thinking of this. Like, there can't be anything like in the like, there's no like intelligence to any conversation. It's just like, oh, all of Israel bad, and maybe all of Jews are bad. Maybe he wants you to think all of Jews are bad. I don't fucking know, dude. This guy's very adjacent to Hassan, so wouldn't doubt it.
That liberal pattern follows across all Zionist propaganda, especially in the case of Iran. And this is why so many people like Ethan Klein fall for this narrative.
When I grew up in Iran, I was born in 1958, so it was, in a way, the good old days, if you want to assume that under the Shah and the development and the progress that he brought to Iran were the good old days. For women, they were.
This exact liberal...
Yeah, so it just sounds to me like she used to live in Iran before Iran was under a very nasty regime. That's what that communicates to me, at least. I don't know.
Thinking always talks about how the Iranian people are suffering under the Ayatollah, but they never even attempt to legitimately explain how the people are suffering. They talk about vague ideas of freedom and personal expression, but you know the one thing they never talk about? The economic conditions of the working class, the ultimate engine of history. You see, in...
So the economy was pretty good. They don't talk about the economy, but the regime was bad. I mean, they, like, didn't this woman express that, like, women have, like, basically, like, she said that, like, they had it better back then? Like, again, Iran has very regressive rights in regards to women, right? That's what this woman expressed.
Especially in the case of Iran. And this is why so many people like Ethan Klein fall for this narrative.
When I grew up in Iran, I was born in 1958, so it was, in a way, the good old days, if you want to assume that under the Shah and the development and the progress that he brought to Iran were the good old days. For women, they were.
This exact...
Yeah, again, it just sounds to me like women have got, like, the rights for women have become more regressive with Iran as time went on. So I don't really understand, like, I don't get it.
Big ideas of freedom and personal expression. But you know the one thing they never talk about? The economic conditions of the working class, the ultimate engine of history. You see, in 1953, Iran elected an anti-imperialist president, Mohammad Mossadegh, who had plans to nationalize the oil industry, at the time owned by Western oil monopolies. So what does the CIA do, of course? They overthrow Mossadegh and reinstate monarchical rule back to the Shah. Of course, the Iranian people didn't ask for this, and in order to stay in power, the Shah relied on secret police and overall suppression of the people, ultimately leading to the Iranian Revolution, where a more theocratic anti-imperialist voice rose to the top as the leading voice of the revolution. They continued in the path of Mossadegh, creating a national central bank and renationalizing the oil industry, once again putting a target on their backs for Western sanctions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, the U.S. was trying to have a monopoly on the oil. That's why the U.S. has gone after plenty of countries in the Middle East. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why 9/11 happened, unfortunately, or one of the motivators for it, which Saudi Arabia was behind, despite the fact that Al-Qaeda was the main people. Just, again, Saudi Arabia had involvement with 9/11, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like, you know, I heard that, like, the U.S., I don't know if the U.S. monopoly on the oil has gotten much better as of recent time, especially with, like, you know, the Venezuela stuff happening. But, you know, they were trying to get as much of it. Yeah, sure. I guess that's like one of your, I guess, very few okay points, I guess, but this doesn't really say anything about Ethan Klein and him being against the regime that's going on in Iran.
Ultimately leading to a less than ideal living standard where internal political discourse is limited due to fears of outside agitators and secretive plots to undermine the mission of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, if Ethan had just listened to Hassan 5 years ago, none of that would have been necessary.
In Iran, Mossadegh wanted to nationalize the oil industry, their own resources. And British Petroleum and the United States was like, that we're not doing that. People of Iran, for example, they don't want to live in a brutal theocratic dictatorship. They don't want that. Why is there a brutal theocratic dictatorship? Well, because America facilitated the overthrowing of a government that was democratic, was socialist, or at least, wanted to nationalize its extraction industry, specifically its oil refineries. And that was a big no-no for British Petroleum, and that was a big no-no for America. And what happened as a consequence of that? An incredibly violent, brutal, anti-imperialist force that was super fundamentalist overtook in that volatility and started controlling the country in its entirety, and has been for a very long time.
So I mean, it sounds to me like, based on what Hassan says, if you want to take Hassan's retelling of it truthfully, is that like essentially the US pretty much like was responsible for what the regime became today, like part of it. That doesn't really show Hassan saying that the regime is good, though, or anything. Like, that doesn't show that Ethan said that the regime is good either. So, again, it just sounds to me like the U.S. is unfortunately partly responsible for kind of like where we got today.
After months of Ethan Klein encouraging and defending some sort of military action to be done against the Islamic Republic of Iran, it actually happened.
Today, the U.S. and Israel launched...
I don't think Ethan Klein ever once defended it. Weren't you showing clips of Ethan saying that we should get rid of the regime, or that we should fight back against the disgusting things that are happening to the civilians of Iran? Like, weren't you just showing clips of that?
An unprecedented joint attack on Iran with the stated intention to overthrow the Iranian regime.
Multiple U.S. and Israeli airstrikes targeted a range of sites, including Iran's political leadership, military commanders, and missile infrastructure. And President Trump announced on social media this evening that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, was killed in the strikes.
In response,
I mean, he was a dictator now.
Iran launched its own unprecedented wave of retaliation on half a dozen regional countries.
Yeah, they were focusing on, they launched it in Bahrain, they did it in Kuwait, the UAE. I'm pretty sure some spots in Israel got hit as well. Yeah, they were basically using all these Middle Eastern countries as human shields.
Not only on American bases, but also civilian infrastructure.
Over 1,000 civilians have been killed, including 165 young girls attending school and Ali Khamenei's 14-month-old granddaughter. These are only the...
Yeah, obviously, like, the war crimes are terrible, but also, like, Iran has also engaged in tons of, like, violations of the Geneva Conventions, so, like, I don't really, like, why are, like, I don't know, I just, like, this video is so black and white, and it really, honestly, more than anything, like, this feels like a very disingenuous hit piece that's trying to, like, almost whitewash the, like, government of Iran entirely. Like, that's what this video feels like. This video feels like a giant whitewashing, and I feel like it's, like, we're not really getting anywhere, like, particularly productive. I mean, like, I don't know, like, why go after Ethan Klein of all people? Like, that was the popular thing to do in 2025. It's like, yeah, like, if you're not happy with the U.S. going after the regime, why don't you focus on that? Like, why do you have to make a whole hit piece on Ethan Klein about it? Like, when he's been very much against the regime going on.
Latest numbers. But with videos surfacing of the capital, Tehran, being absolutely and totally carpet bombed by the United States and Israel, I imagine the numbers will continue to rise.
This is what Tehran is waking up to this morning. The sky above the city is covered in very thick black clouds. You can see that everywhere. That's the west of the city over there, and this is the north of the city. Normally, if you look to that direction, you could actually see the Alborz Mountains, but now all of that is also covered in clouds.
And we begin with this. Apocalyptic scenes filling the skies of Tehran. Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sending massive waves of fire through the streets as Operation Epic Fury rages on.
And now you can see this morning that the sky is still very dark. We saw thick black plumes of smoke in the sky yesterday. There were massive fires in the south of the city. But I want to show you something else because it's also raining. But you can see that the rain water is actually black, also saturated, it appears, with oil. And if we look over there, you can see that the water that's running down here also is black. So that's what's coming down this morning. This sort of oil-filled rain that we have right now on the Iranian capital after those strikes took place.
Ethan Klein, the Epstein War's biggest fan,
Why the Epstein Wars in particular? Are you referring to the fact that Trump is bombing this as a distraction from the Epstein files? Like, I'm pretty sure Ethan Klein is not, like, I don't think he runs defense for Donald Trump, who's obviously doing this to distract himself from much bigger controversies, like being Epstein's best friend for 10 or 15 years.
Must have been excited, or at least grateful, to see all these images of the Iranian people being liberated. Honestly, he kinda was, in my opinion, or at least was defending the actions by the United States and Israel.
But today we got a lot to talk about. For example, chiefly war. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, deposing tyrannical... That's not exactly true, though, is it? Deposing tyrannical governments, right? I mean, that's a good use. That's been historically a pretty good use for it.
You know what comes after war?
More war.
Peace and love.
He posted this statement onto his Instagram stories shortly after the initial attack took place, which basically blames the quote brutal dictatorship for all of Iran's problems and defends the invasion by saying, "This is why many of us would rather face a difficult..."
Oh, he's reposting what this person is posting about the regime going on in Iran, yeah.
Problems, and defends the invasion by saying, "This is why many of us would rather face a difficult moment once and for all, so we can finally choose our own future and determine our own destiny." That is a quote from the 90-Day Fiancé contestant, and you wonder why all these Persians want to bomb their own country. Because they don't live there. He then went on to sell...
This is weird. This is like a weird justification for wanting to bomb their own countries and committing war crimes. So, like, suddenly, like, I just don't understand it. It's like, war crimes are bad, but only if they happen in a place that serves my political agenda. Like, this is... Holy fuck, dude. Like, this is how you know these people don't give a shit about anything that's happening there. It's like, honestly, it's like they're just doing whatever they can to be, like, pro whatever the fucking next thing is in their fucking spaces. It's just like anything to, like, be anti-West, to guzzle Hassan Parker or whatever. It's just like, these people have no fucking, like, convictions of themselves at all. Like, they don't care.
Celebrate the death of the martyred Ayatollah Ali Khamenei with the kind words, "Rest in peace." I'll remind you, Khamenei's 14-month-old granddaughter was killed in this exact strike. And then the raider of...
That one actually might be bad.
...month-old granddaughter...
Hold on, what is this?
...live there. He then went on to celebrate the death of the martyred Ayatollah Ali Khamenei with the kind words...
Israeli media is reporting Kalmias is dead. Rest in peace, you murderous scumbag. I mean, is this person actually, like, a murderous scum? Hold on. Like, I actually want to just, like, look. Okay, so, Khamenei, or whatever, I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of his name. But, you know, did he commit war crimes? Based on reports from human rights organization, UN-related bodies, and international analysts, again, if it's coming from the UN, chances are, like, it's probably very credible. Crimes against humanity. Khamenei was implicated by UN reports and human rights groups for directing the brutal suppression of peaceful protesters, journalists, and activists in 1999, 2009, 2019, and 2022 to 2023. Reports state that he authorized security forces, including Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, to live fire and torture against civilians. And human rights organizations and legal experts hold that the mass executions of political prisoners in 1988, which occurred in his presidency, amount to crimes against humanity. So, I mean, it sounds to me like Ethan is just, like, pretty much saying, like, rest in piss, you murderous scumbag. Again, if it's somebody that's committing war crimes, like, why should we care if Ethan Klein is saying, like, rest in piss? Like, if you just, like, again, if you look into the claims that this person is trying to put into their video, you would realize how, like, incredibly bad faith he is, like, being here.
Rest in piss. I'll remind you, Khamenei's 14-month-old granddaughter was killed in this exact strike.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's celebrating the death of his 14-month-old granddaughter. It's just, like, he's celebrating the death of the person who was murderous. Like, I don't know, dude. It's like, okay, suddenly, like, it's just like everything has to be so black and white with these people. It's like everything is just like, oh, nope, you have to be fully on our side. And if you're not far left enough, you are not in my tribe. It's like, okay, dude, you're so, like, not productive when you talk about these things. Like, who are you trying to appeal? Hassan? Hassan doesn't give a fuck about you. Who are you trying to appeal? Your far left audience? Are you audience captured? Is that what this is? You're just, like, completely fucking audience captured in your extreme leftist spaces?
And then
it's just so weird. Like, I forgot how, like, utterly fucking, like, pathetic, like, these hit pieces really can get.
The raider of Ramallah further victimized and attempted to humanize the Israelis with a video of them dancing in the bomb shelters singing "I Will Survive." I don't think so. Ethan also
Alright. Okay, a little bit catty of you, I guess.
Got the attention of the Canary Mission, basically a harassment organization.
It's a little bit, like, weirdly, like, I don't know, like, he says, I don't think so. It's like he said that about, like, Jewish people. I don't know, dude. I don't know, a little bit Hassan coded there. I mean, again, this guy seems to really love Hassan.
Dedicated to the doxing of pro-Palestine activists and voices after he posted this video of Hassan to his Instagram stories.
I was thinking about this with, like, the Afghanistan, the Taliban, Pakistan fight that was taking place. And I was really thinking about this. You really don't need suicide bombing anymore. You know, because, like, the Taliban guy was like, oh, you have nuclear arms, but we have, like, suicide bombers. Like, we'll just your country with suicide bombers. And it's like, you really don't need that anymore in drone warfare, right? You don't need that at all. Just make fucking drones. You can purchase them in the online marketplace.
But then, the cherry on top, Ethan Klein invited on his best and only friend Lonerbox to dedicate their first episode back to justifying war with Iran.
Well, I don't know if it's... again, you're being black and white here, but also, I generally think Lonerbox is very educated when it comes to these topics. Like, I've seen Lonerbox talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict for a decent amount of time now. I think he's generally very educated when it comes to talking about the Israel-Palestine conflict. I think he's very, yeah, I don't know. Lonerbox is pretty goated. What can I say? Like, I haven't seen anything that would make me dislike him.
I'm seeing on my feed, the Persians here in America they're joyous. I think they can also, can be equally concerned and worried about how things go from here. But I see people who are happy that this government is, being beheaded, as they say, right? But then online, you see people like Hassan and leftists. They're the ones who swear this is a terrible thing. It seems that if you ask the vast majority of Iranians there and abroad, they would be happy with the current outcome. Do I have that right, Lonerbox, in your estimate?
Lonerbox is an unimportant character in this entire saga. Just consider him a second Ethan. Two mouths.
Damn. Wow. Okay. That's one way to put him, I guess. I mean, this guy's really bad faith, so...
All the same slop. So I'm just going to be referring to them as one single entity. So the H3 pod...
Yeah, I mean, he really is just going after people who aren't far left enough instead of just, like, calling out people who are actually, like, far right and much more... I would argue much more of a threat to civilians and people as a whole than people like Ethan Klein or Lonerbox.
Cast recorded this episode March 2nd, and with the initial strikes taking place on the 28th of February, quite a bit of information about the aftermath has been made public. Despite this information, They almost immediately begin the conversation by justifying the attacks by changing the topic to the Iran protests, where supposedly 30 to 40,000 people were slaughtered in a matter of a couple days.
Well, I can imagine the people who are still in Iran after this horrific massacre. 30 to 40,000 people like slaughtered in a matter of like a couple days.
People talk about that toll that you mentioned, 30 to 40,000. I know that people like to dispute it, but even if you look at the more conservative groups that are a lot more careful and a lot more, they go through like extra steps of verification. Like the lowest estimate of that toll is like 7,000. To think about a country down even that, like 7,000 or 12 or 30, even the lowest number in 3 or 4 days, which is when that crackdown happened. I don't think people really place into context just like how otherworldly that level of brutality is from a regime, especially like against their own citizens.
They were going to hospitals and looking for people with injuries and because they're like, oh, you were a protester. It was just a massacre, just heartless, cold-blooded massacre.
Now these numbers are wildly exaggerated. Most sources are only reporting a few thousand. And while a few thousand is devastating to Iran and myself, you have to look at it with a total world context. Because protests aren't the same in Iran as they are here in the United States. And when you are such a powerful anti-imperialist country, facing a far more powerful imperialist country, not every person protesting is just your average peaceful Iranian citizen. These countries are teeming with agents, spies, traitors, most of which are coming from Israel.
What ended up? So there might be something to talk about in regards to like the protests and like regarding like the numbers being like exaggerated or whatever. But like, again, this guy is like so unbelievably bad faith that he just like, I don't know, man. Like, he's just showing us a bunch of B-roll, and he's not actually, like, showing anything legitimate, and he's not actually, like, explaining any of the proof that he has shown us and explaining why, oh, this is bad. Like, he hasn't actually, like, gone in depth with really anything when you really, like, break it down.
Happening, and we also spoke to people who witnessed this themselves, is that you had these huge popular protests, and there was almost no response from the state whatsoever. In fact, the supreme leader of Iran, who, of course, was in the opening stages of this war, had even publicly said that the protesters need to be listened to. And there were no significant reports of any violence until around January 8th. So like they started in late December, they go to January 8th. And what we know for a fact happened was that small cells of people that were embedded within larger peaceful demonstrations started attacking police stations or attacking police officers. And in some cases, they start attacking mosques. What the Iranian government has said, and again, this is a nation state's narrative, but what the Iranian government has said is that there were cells of people that they believe were being supported by Mossad, and in some cases provided with smuggled in weapons that were coordinating attacks against the government, attacks against mosques, attacks against security personnel. And what it sounds like happened is that there were then these battles that start, and I think thousands of Iranians got down. I don't think we know the extent of the death toll, but what I think is clear is that the narrative that it was simply the Iranian government decided to open fire on peaceful protests is not true.
There was actually a moment in this episode where Ethan was so close to getting it, but just couldn't finish the puzzle. He actually started to question why the Iranian economy was so bad.
This is a video, by the way, of when the news hit Iran that the Ayatollah was killed, just to give you an idea. That's like universal rejoicing. There's like, if you were afraid.
Well, yeah, again, like I've pretty much like reiterated like the same point over and over again, but like, yeah, they like a lot of people in Iran were celebrating the death of the Ayatollah, or however you say it, the leader of Iran. So it again, I don't really like, we're through most of this video and it's just Ethan Klein bad, and I show you clip and I don't explain clip. You're just supposed to believe Ethan Klein is bad because he's saying bad, like you're supposed to believe he's saying bad thing here. This video is so incredibly stupid.
That there was a lot of people that disagreed with you. I don't think you would see this type of universal just celebrating in the streets. It just seems like the vast majority of people in Iran are happy to throw the dice and try to improve their situation. But also on top of that, like Iran is so f***ed up, like the inflation has gone crazy.
That is, of course, until he came up with an answer to his inquiry. terrorism.
Because of the, basically, I don't know, the Ayatollah sends a shitload of their money to fund terrorism. It just seems like their current situation was just totally...
Well, yeah, I mean, there are terrorist groups in the Middle East, like Hezbollah, you know, Hamas is one of them as well. Like, all the terrorist groups as well, and the Houthis as well, it's another one. I believe the Houthis were in Yemen, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, like, all these, like, terrorist groups, like, Iran has actively backed up, so, like, that is just a fact. Like, again, I don't really see how the, like, I fucking can't with this guy. Like, I just don't see how what Ethan is saying is bad here. He's, like, he's trying really hard to say, like, yeah, Ethan is doing a bad thing here, but he's not actually elaborating on really anything.
Unlivable, just not sustainable at all.
This is the part of the show that really gets me. And what it is Zionist brain rot in its final form.
Listen, nobody knows what's going to happen. And we can only just hope that we're on the timeline, the good timeline. Like, Persian culture is like one of the oldest and most prolific. You know, they contributed so much to human culture and the arts and the sciences. And they've just been totally stifled, you know, in the past, I don't know, 40 years or something, since it's been taken over by Islamic extremists who isn't interested in that kind of stuff. And actually...
Yeah, so just to be clear, none of what I'm hearing right now is proof that, like, Ethan Klein is, like, a rabid Zionist. He's just saying that the regime in Iran... There's, like, a lot of beautiful culture in, like, Persia and, like, the history of Persia. And that's unfortunately been completely tainted by the regime that Iran was under. So... I don't think that really, this clip doesn't really prove anything in your narrative.
Just, you know, opposes it. I think everyone would love to see a free Iran. I think that would be such a great thing for the world. But hopefully that's what happens, and we just don't know at the moment.
Ethan is hoping for a good outcome, a stabilized Iran, bringing Persia back to its former glory. But the answer is never sovereignty. It's never freedom from Western aggression by the oil cartels. The answer is always violent military action that might magically bring everything back to normal.
Well, the unfortunate reality is that, like, again, a lot of these areas are also violent with the government. And same for, like, Hamas. I mean, that's not an excuse to be killing civilians, obviously. It's not, again, you could argue that Israel is using that too much as an excuse to commit their war crimes. But, unfortunately, sometimes we're not, like, left with any other choice. Like, it only ends one way, and then a war starts, basically. Like, I'm not saying... Like, again, I don't think Trump is attacking Iran for any of the right reasons whatsoever. But, again, it just feels like we're whitewashing, like, the government of Iran entirely. Like, we're just whitewashing everything that they've been responsible for, just in the hopes that we can, like, land a Ethan Klein bad video.
I really feel bad when some people say, oh, it's because of the U.S. sanctions. If they lift the sanctions, everything is going to be fine. No, it's not all about economics. Like, if tomorrow the sanctions are going to be lifted, people still want a regime change because it's not all about money. It's about, like, the things, the human rights that people are having in most of the world and we're not having.
What do you think about those Iran protests and how organic they were?
You know, there were some huge protests. Like, there were enormous numbers of people that were in the streets. It was started in a market where shop owners, started protesting about exchange rates, and the U.S. has been clear. Bessent himself, the Treasury Secretary, said publicly, we deliberately engineered a currency crisis in Iran in order to spark a protest. Like, that's almost a direct quote.
There's a moment in time where the current state narrative becomes so poorly orchestrated and thought out that it almost experiences absolutely zero crossover with the majority opinion. And this is that moment. Ethan's diehard trust in the state narrative of this war, we are freeing the Iranian people from a dictatorial regime, is being confronted by the blatant images of destruction that any free-thinking American can see is terrible. His audience might be the most...
Yeah, but, like, I just don't really think that that's what Ethan was, like, celebrating at all. Like, I just don't... Okay, dude, whatever. Like, it's just, like... I don't know how to talk to people like this. They're just like, oh yeah, like Ethan Klein was against terrorism, but also look at all the bad stuff that the U.S. did. Yeah, obviously the U.S. deserves criticism for the way that they engaged in this war. Obviously, Trump is not engaging with it for any of the right reasons, and like Trump doesn't seem to care about any civilian casualties. Venezuela is also evidence of that as well. But again, like, why don't you criticize Asmongold, who are like so pro-Trump about this shit? People that are like actively in support of civilians fucking dying multiple times. Where's your video on Asmongold? Where's your video on Tectone, supporters of ICE? Where's your video on like all like the actual far right that is like dominating our narrative currently? Like, why do you have to go after Ethan of all people? It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Annoying group of liberals you've ever met. But they're not blind.
Again, we just have to constantly use the word liberal as a slur because, God forbid, Ethan's not far left enough.
At least not now. So of course, as you do, a bunch of H3 fans went to the H3 podcast subreddit to voice their concerns. Really just to say goodbye to a once beloved show that has now turned into, for lack of a better term...
You say a bunch. I don't know if it was a bunch, though. Like, okay.
State-sponsored propaganda, and you can guess the state. Here are just a few of the feelings expressed by the H3 podcast audience over the past few days.
All peace and love. This is the last post I'll make here.
Oh god, not fucking Gato Fumador, the person that like constantly like pushes disinformation about Israel-Palestine is like very pro-Hamas and extremely anti-Semitic.
It's by far the most difficult one I've made. I've fought for Ethan in so many subs. I defended Gila nonstop since October 7th. I've lost my fiance, friends, and my own mental health defending the Kleins of this podcast for years now. But watching Ethan cheer on what's been happening in Iran in his IG stories has been eye-opening. For the first time, I can see what the snarkers have been saying. Ethan doesn't care about innocent people's lives. He doesn't care about the slaughter that has and will continue to happen. As long as he can have a dunk on Hassan, he's going to do it. I remember Gila posting praise for Israeli fighter pilots after the strikes in Iran months ago, and it left a bitter taste, but I just tried to move past it. But watching him cheer on the onset of a massive war in the Middle East that has been the straw that broke the camel's back. Cancel my membership, unsubscribe, and I'm done with it all now. This pod has destroyed my mental...
Dude, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like, you are just self-reporting how overly parasocial you are for Ethan Klein. Like, if you feel the need to like fucking... Like, if you feel so parasocial to Ethan to the point where you say you've defended them, you lost your fiance, friends, and your mental health defending Ethan Klein's pocket. Like, if you've done it constantly defending Ethan Klein, but then, like, now you feel the need to make, like, a Reddit post because you're this parasocial. I don't know. It sounds to me like you need to get some fucking friends in the real world. You need to, like, go offline, fucking get a job, be productive in society, like, go walk in the park or something. Go make friends at a game shop. Play Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons or fucking Settlers of Catan or something. Like, I don't know, man. This is too much. Like, you're being way too fucking parasocial for somebody you've never met before. Like, it sounds to me like it's a you problem.
Health, and I'm finally having some introspection and realizing that it's not worth it. There hasn't been goofs and gaffs since October 7, and I was kidding myself into thinking that they would return. My favorite crew members were Olivia and Cam that left long ago, and I'm beginning to think it was because of Ethan. It sucks. I love this pod so much. Spent thousands on Teddy Fresh. Shows become unrecognizable. I can't sit with a straight face and say...
I don't know, man. Maybe like it's a blessing in disguise that Ethan lost this fan, because I don't want to cultivate super parasocial fans in my audience. I really would prefer not to have that.
Peace and love while Ethan is celebrating attacks that ended the lives of dozens of schoolgirls just so we can dunk on us on. It's all gone to shit. So this is it for me, guys. For those wondering why I would make this post and not just leave, understand that I've sunk so much effort and my life into this pod. I recognize now it was a mistake and I could have saved myself so much money, time, and maybe even my relationships that have been destroyed over an internet show. Watching Ethan call everyone who's critical of him a snarker just reminds me of Trump blaming Biden and Obama for everything. It's that level of delusion and an unwillingness to ever admit he was wrong. The whole thing has become so sad and boring to watch, and I don't have it in me to care anymore. So good luck.
I mean, okay. It's fine if you think that Ethan has become way too petty and, like, just snarks after Hassan a lot, because that's kind of just, like, what he did. Like, again, like, obviously, like, the whole Ethan Hassan shit is just, like, so boring to me now. Like, I feel like the only time I cover Ethan Klein is, like, once a while when we're in a content drought. And as of the time of me recording this video, we're sort of in, like, a content drought right now, and there's not really too much to say in regards to content. So we're watching a shitty Ethan Klein hit piece to get our content for the day. But it's like, again, get some fucking friends in the real world.
Everyone, I know for a fact there are so many amazing people here, but ask yourself if you're okay with Ethan posting
Get some fucking friends, dude. Like you should not be this parasocial for somebody.
celebratory videos while dozens of schoolgirls are dead from those actions. If you are, carry on enjoying the show. I can't anymore, so thanks to everyone here who have ever reached out to help me in my previous posts. I've met some wonderful and amazing people in this community. All the best to you all.
Ethan has really reached a crossroads here, because his departure from the Hasanabi sphere of influence has only come to further associate him with the imperialist wars of the American regime, where not only thousands...
I mean, I don't think Ethan Klein is all for the imperialist wars. He's just saying that the government of Iran and the regime that they were under supporting terrorism is bad. That's the take that Ethan has. Like, there's nothing that suggests that he's like super pro-Trump about it. Go after Asmongold, who who mindlessly is just pro-Trump on every fucking talking point. Go after him. Like, Asmongold is incredibly fucking stupid when it comes to talking about being pro-Trump. He's not thoughtful about anything. He just mindlessly guzzles Trump's cock and like just decides that like he's good on whatever he fucking says. Go after him. Where's your video on Asmongold? Are you just too scared to criticize him because you're scared of the pushback you're going to get from his audience?
Of innocent civilians are being killed, but American children as well. This 20-year-old boy from Iowa was killed in this war. He died for Israel. He died for Israel. Too young to drink alcohol, but just the right age to die for Israel. And Israel...
Wow.
Is really...
This is so deep, dude. Wow.
...to blame for this war. You might not have heard, but Marco Rubio admitted to this just days ago.
Second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. A third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we get them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
This inevitably will be the demise of Ethan Klein, as the dying American empire is grasping at its last bits of control, heightening the violence not only abroad but domestically. Ethan is going to have to make a choice. Continue backing the increasingly violent and imperialist American government as things only get worse, or man up to the realities of history and become a true progressive in the fight for humanity. Nothing good will come about.
Be more far left, Ethan. Please join our tribe. Man up. Wow. You have to be fully with us or you're not with us.
From the Epstein wars. Nothing good will come about from defending the Epstein wars. Because
Ethan Klein doesn't defend the Epstein wars, but sure, I guess.
Because after all, it's one big club, and we're not in it.
Look, man, of all the times you chose to make an Ethan Klein hit piece, you chose the year 2026 when most of the bad faith Ethan Klein hit pieces aren't even that, it's just not popular to do anymore. It's like, I don't know. I thought we got all the cringe bad faith Ethan Klein hit pieces out of the way in 2025. Now we're bringing them back all of a sudden. I mean, okay, if that's the kind of audience you want to appeal to, be my guest, but I don't think you're going to be particularly successful in doing so.